Good morning. It's Sunday, December the 20th, and this is the video for Friday, December the 18th. And we've heard that the Senate and the House may meet today to sign off on a $900 billion coronavirus relief package, which the market has always been anticipating, and that's pretty evident by the movement in the S&P. But I'm going to come back to that chart because we want to start with the McClellan oscillator, which is just right around zero, and it has been as these COVID talks have drawn on and on and on, closer and closer to when these guys go on recess, these clowns go on recess, and nothing will get done. So I am of the mind that it is going to be a buy the rumor, sell the news kind of affair. We'll see a little bit of a spike tomorrow morning if the bill is passed today. Still has to go to the top clown's desk, and he has to sign it before he goes away on his Christmas vacation to golf. There you have it. So I think it's going to be a sell the news. Now let's look at the S&P. You know, I'm beginning to think that the Ichimoku would be well served by just only showing the Chiku span. It's so neat. It's so important. Let me see if I can do that again. Apparently, the Kumo fill up and the Kumo fill down. There we go. So now we have no more cloud. We only have the Chiku span. Now remember, we put this green line here last week to say that this was our closing high right back here and was rejected as soon as they opened the next morning, rejected down there. And then we came back and we touched the closing high again. That would have been on Wednesday. And then Thursday we went above it. Where did we finish on Friday? Right back down to that line again. And nothing shows you better than the Chiku span. So if you take that line and you place it right above the closing high candle line right there, then you can look back and see the Chiku span effect. Rejection, rejection, past it, support, actually rejection here, then we moved up beyond it, and then support there. So the Chiku span, I'm going to save this template, and I'm going to call this, save this template, Chiku only. I wish I could spell or type, but I can't. There we go. So let's look at some of our other stuff here. The Dow Jones, just pretty much flat. Don't have a Chiku span on that one, but let's bring it up. Let's put it to the Chiku only. And what have we got here? If we put in this as our closing high right here, then we've got a very similar Chiku span wrestling with the current high and now having fallen below it. Let's try the same thing with the NDX, the NASDAQ 100. Let's do the Chiku only. And here is probably where you might put in that line. Rejection here, of course, because it was this candle right there. And then we quickly slice through it like butter, but now we're coming down possibly to look at that support. And it's also, today was also, Thursday rather, was also a 178.6 Fibonacci on this big wave up after this pullback down. And we've got this beautiful 178.6%. Now let's look at some of our stocks. Apple had that kind of a day. And the reason you see some lines over there is because we were looking at Thursday's Fibonacci movements. And if we wanted to look at Thursdays as it related to Friday, we would take that high. And let's see if that low, let's just take it to do a Chiku only to get that out of the way. And there we go. That's the high, that's the low. And how did we trade on Friday as opposed to the Woody's pivots? Well, we saw the Woody's pivots getting rejection at support number 1, but that was also the low of the day of Friday. So that was the 100%. So the Fibonacci's from the Thursday were working quite nicely with the price movement on Friday. And it came down to about the 200%. So we had a full retrace from the high of Thursday down to the low of Friday was a full 100 percent negative, so 200% here, and finished the day at about 178.6. But the Woody's pivots, which also rely quite heavily on the prior day's Fibonacci's, actually came into play as well. So you can see that the S1 was resistance once, twice, and the S3 was pretty much support, although there was some overdriven selling there. So that's Apple. CVS, disappointing. I really thought we'd see something better, but I'm not in that stock. BBY, struggling, but still above the 200, but below the 8. Now you watch the Chiku span and the cloud interaction. So it's moving up. It's going to be the Chiku span and the cloud. It's going to be the candle and the 50 once it breaks above the 8 EMA. Square is the stock that I've only got 100 shares of, but I do plan on buying more. I also have the short 250 calls. This is my trading style, and of course, on a year like this, I've lost out on a lot of the upside because I'm buying the stock below market value by selling a future call, and I end up with the profit at that strike level and keeping the premium of the call, but it's a defined profit. It's also a very good strategy for protecting you when the markets drop a little bit or the markets channel for a while. So overall, this conservative play for me does two things. One, it helps me sleep better. And secondly, it helps me achieve my goals, which are not as lofty as wanting to double my money every year. I'm looking for 10 to 15% consistent growth every year, and doing the covered call strategy helps me with that. So this is what Square looked like on a 5-minute basis. On a 1-day basis, it is pulling away, and the target is going to be 250. So keep an eye on that. Now, Monday is the day that Tesla gets wrapped into the S&P 500. So expect a lot of wacky stuff to happen on the same day that the market comes back after the coronavirus bill gets signed. So imagine what kind of a shit show that could be, as these S&P 500 index funds have to dump stock to make room for Tesla, because they just can't add Tesla to what they have. What they currently have at the close of Friday had an average value that equated to what the S&P 500 value was. When they add Tesla, that throws everything way out of whack. So they're going to have to dump a lot of other stocks to balance and make room for Tesla with its appropriate weighting and keeping the S&P average value at whatever it is when it opens. Let's just take a look at some of the new stocks. Now we're getting into 8 minutes of video here. SONO, beautiful stock, continues to move up. Dollar General, pushing back. So a little bit of a problem there. We could look at that on a Chiku span only, but the video is getting too long already. And Boeing, just nose diving, not doing well at all. Look for the Chiku span to come down and get support on this candle. When would that be? This is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday down here, Thursday here, and it really is going to have to struggle all week to stay above this value. So keep a lookout on Boeing. It might be a mild short, but certainly not a long yet.